Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make another Minecraft skin statue. This time, I'm going to be showing you how to make Agent Coulson from the Marvel Avengers. Or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Well, technically both of them. The statue is based on the skin that I'm giving you a little bit of a twirl of now. So, if that's interesting to you, if you want to make it, here's what you're going to need. You're going to need a block of gold, sandstone, black wool, brown wool, dark grey, light grey, white, dark blue, and finally cyan wool. Luckily for us, those are the only colours that we're going to be needing, so once you've got those and once you've figured out where you want to make them, I'm going to be making them right here. You're going to want to start this all off with a row of 8 black wool in a row on the floor. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For the next row, place a single dark grey on the ends of the row, a single light grey next to the dark grey, and then dark grey everywhere else. For the next row, you just want a solid row of 8 black wool, so you just want to have that. For the next 2 rows, you want to do 2 solid rows of dark blue, so 1, 2, and, oops, 1, 2. For the next row, place a single dark blue on the ends of the row, a single cyan next to the dark blue, and then dark blue everywhere else. And once you've done that, you'll find that you are halfway up the leg section, so here's what you want to have for the legs so far. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, it's time for us to move our way up to the other half of the legs. So for the next row, place 2 dark blue in the 2 center spots of the row, a single dark blue on the ends of the row, and then cyan everywhere else. For the next row and the next 3 rows after it, so for the next 4 rows technically, you want to do a single dark blue on the ends of the row, a single cyan next to the dark blue, and then dark blue everywhere else. And as I said, for the next 3 rows after it, so 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. So just mark that out and fill them in, or whatever your preferred method may be. It doesn't matter as long as you get the job done. And once you've done that, all you have to do to finish off the entire leg section is just throw an entire row of dark blue on top of what you've done. So let me just show you what you want for the upper part of the legs. Pause that if necessary, of course. Let me show you what you want for the entire leg section. So that is what you want for the entire legs. Pause that if necessary. Once you've reached this point right here, it's time for us to move our way up the torso. So for the first row of the torso, you want to place 2 block of gold in the 2 center spots of the row, a single dark grey either side of the gold, and then black everywhere else. For the next row, similar but different, you want to place a single white wool on the left center spot of the row, a gold on the right center spot, dark grey either side of your white and gold, and then dark blue everywhere else. I suppose it's not that similar after all. For the next row, place 2 white in the 2 center spots, a single light grey either side of the white, and then dark blue everywhere else. For the next row, you want to place a single dark grey on the left center spot of the row, light grey right center spot, white either side of your greys, and then dark blue everywhere else. For the next row and the next 3 after it, so I can't believe I made the same mistake. For the next 4 rows, here's what you want to do. 2 dark grey in the 2 center spots of the row, a single white either side of the dark grey, and then dark blue everywhere else. So that's the first row. You need to do it for the next 3 after it as well. So 1, 2, 3, and then just fill the row in as you would, however you feel like it. So let me just show you what that wants to look like. I did want to try and stop halfway up the torso to show you what you wanted to have so far, but unfortunately with that, I think that we're about 8 rows in, so yeah. That is what you want for a little more than halfway up the torso. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, it's time for us to finish it off. So coming up on top of a duplicate row, you're going to want to do 2 dark grey in the 2 center spots of the row, a single white either side of the dark grey, black either side of the white, and then finally dark blue to finish it all off. For the next row, it's actually very similar except the dark blue and the blacks are reversed. You want to do 2 dark grey in the 2 centre spots, white either side of the dark grey, and then as I said, where you have black on the previous row, place dark blue, and where you have dark blue, place black. For the next row, it might just be easier if we just do this from left to right. Let's do this from left to right just to save me any headaches. Left to right, here's what you want to do. 1 dark blue, 1 black, 1 white, 1 light grey, 1 dark grey, 1 white, 1 black, 1 dark blue. For the 12th and final row of the torso, it's a little easier. Here's what you want to do. 2 dark grey in the 2 centre spots of the row, a single black on the ends of the row, and then white everywhere else. Can't place blocks today, it's really upsetting. So that is what you want to have for the 12th and final row of the torso, and as a matter of fact there's the entire upper torso as well. That's what you want to have. Pause that if necessary, if you're still working on that of course. Let me show you what you want for the entire torso once it's all together. That's what you want to have. Once you've reached this point right here, it's time for us to move on to the arms, and I actually notice it's getting slightly dark already, which means I have some very bad timing because we should have just finished with the arms when the darks came in, so I'll be back once it's light again. Alright, so moving on to the arms, first things first, we have to mark them both out. So take out your sandstone and come to the first row of the torso, which is this one right here, the one with the black in it where the belt starts. And you just want to extend out from this row, either side of the statue by 4 with your sandstone. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And in doing that, you will have kicked off both of the arms. So once you've done that, we're going to be working on this most right arm first. Here's what you want to do. On top of your row of sandstone, you want to stack 2 more rows of sandstone. So you want to have 3 in total. Then do an entire row of black wool. Then do 2 rows of dark blue. 1, 2. Then for the next row, we're just going to have to build this from left to right. So going from left to right, from the center of the statue outwards, you just want to do 2 dark blue, 1 cyan, 1 dark blue. And as a matter of fact, we have to do that for the next 4 rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just fill everywhere else in with the appropriate color, which is more than likely dark blue. Then, to finish off the arm section, all you want to do is an entire row of dark blue. And that is what you want to have for the arm. I did that fairly quickly since we only have to work with the 4 blocks, and it is quite simple, isn't it? There's really not much to it whatsoever. I mean, most of it's block colour, other than those 5 rows where you've just got that little single cyan in there. So that is what you want for the arm. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, you're going to want to go and do the exact same thing on the other side. And when I say exact same thing, I mean the exact same thing. So on top of your row of sandstone, you want to stack 2 more rows of sandstone, followed by a row of black wool, followed by 2 rows of dark blue. Then, going from, well, I suppose this is right to left, so from inwards to outwards, you want to do 2 dark blue, single cyan, and then dark blue. And then for the next 4 rows, as we did on the other side, they just want to be a copy of that row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, then just got to fill everywhere else in with dark blue. And then to finish this all off, we just need to do an entire row of dark blue to give you something which should look like that. And surprise, surprise, that looks exactly like the other arm. So pause that if necessary. Let me show you what the arms want to look like when they're both together attached to the torso. That's what you want to have for the torso plus the arms. Not looking too bad if you ask me. Pause that if necessary, of course, if you're still working on the arm or whatever you may be working on. Let me show you what you want for the entire front of the statue. So that is what you want to have for the entire front of the statue. Pause this if necessary, of course. Once you have reached this point right here in which you have done the entire front of the statue, it's time for us to move around back. So quite literally, come around to the back of your statue. come down to the bottom of the feet, and here's what you want to do. I always have a difficult time trying to put this into words, but I'm going to try my best. All you want to do is do 2 rows of free black wool coming out of the back of the statue from each edge of the feet. So you want to do that. Sounds complicated, it's actually really easy. So once you've done that, once you've got your 2 rows of free black wool, you're just going to want to connect both of those rows together, back block to back block, to give you something which should look like that. And that is going to be the foundation for the back and sides of our statue, because once you have reached this point right here, we're just going to build up the entire back of the statue, very much like we've just built up the entire front of the statue. So for now, you're just going to want to focus on these 8 back blocks I'm just highlighting over as we speak. So continuing on, for the second row of the back, here's what you want to do. Going to want to place 2 light grey in the 2 center spots of the row, a single light grey on either side of the row, and then dark grey everywhere else. For the next row, just place an entire row of black wool. Next row, entire row of dark blue. Next row, you're going to want to place a single dark blue on the ends of the row, a single cyan coming towards the center next to the dark blue, and then everywhere else just throw dark blue. And you're going to want to do that exact same thing 2 more times. So that exact same row, just copy it for the next 2 rows. So just increase the cyan by 2 and then just fill in the blue, or however you want to do it, doesn't really matter. All that matters is that you have 3 rows of that. And if I'm not mistaken, we are a little more than halfway up. I'm really terrible with figuring out when we've reached like the midway points of stuff. So that is what you want to have for a little more than halfway up the legs. Pause that if necessary, make sure you've got that. Once you have, it's time to continue. So for the next row, you just want an entire row of dark blue wool. And then for the next 3 rows, we want a repeat of what we have here. So you just want to throw a single dark blue on the ends of the row, a single cyan next to the dark blue, and then dark blue everywhere else. And then you're just going to want to do the exact same thing 2 more times, because you want 3 rows of that. So just want to have something which should look like that. And to finish this all off, you're just going to want to do an entire row of dark blue wool to give you something which should look overall a little bit like that. That's not too difficult whatsoever. They are the entire back of the leg, so pause this if necessary if you have to catch up. Once you've done that, it's time for us to move up to the back. So the back is surprisingly easy. First row of the back, you just want to do an entire row of black wool, like so. The next 5 rows, you just want to do 5 solid rows of dark blue. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mark them out and fill them in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that is halfway up the back, although that's not really worth stopping for, as that's pretty easy. So continuing on, for the next 3 rows, you want this. Do 2 dark blue in the center of the row, a single cyan either side of the dark blue, and then throw dark blue everywhere else. And as I said, you want that for 3 rows, so just throw 2 more layers on top. So just raise up the cyan and then throw dark blue in there to give you that. Then for the next row, just an entire row of dark blue. Row after that, throw a single dark blue on the ends of the row and then black everywhere else. And then to finish this all off, you just want to do an entire row of black wool. So just going to want to have something which should look a little bit like that. I don't feel as though it's worth splitting the back up into sections, since it is supremely easy. So that is what you want for the entire back of the statue. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, it's time to move on to the back of the arms, and luckily for us, the back of the arms are one of the easiest parts, and here's why. They are just a direct copy of the front counterpart. So all you have to do for the back of the arms is quite simply look straight forward at the front of the arms and just copy it. That's all you have to do. There's no working out involved here, so just Just do blue where there's blue, cyan where there's cyan, sandstone where there's sandstone. You guys get the idea, and if you do it right, which you should, you'll end up with something which should look a little bit like that. And as I said, that is just a direct copy of the front portion of the arm. So pause this if necessary. I'm going to go and quickly do the other arm as well. So just to do this arm as well. Whoops. You just copy everything about it. There is no deviation whatsoever. They're my favourite kinds. That's not uncommon when people put things in suits. The backs do tend to be either simple or very much like the fronts. They don't seem to put in too much detail. It seemed that even the Minecraft designers do the same thing. So that is what you want for the back of the statue with both of the arms. As you can see, they're the exact same as the front, nothing different about them whatsoever, so pause this if you need to catch up, of course. Let me show you what you want for the entire back of the statue as is. So that is what you want for the back of the legs, the back, and the back of the arms. Pause this if you have to catch up. Once you've reached this point right here, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to move on to the sides of the statue. So pick a side, any side, it really doesn't matter. They are both mirror images of each other. I always start on this one. Come down to the bottom. You'll notice that we have these two empty rows here. Well, here's how I like to do it. I like to work on this left row first and just like build straight up to the bottom of the arm. And then I like to do the same thing with the right row. So that's how I'm going to be rolling. So with this left row first, going straight up, just calling out colours, you just want to do one dark grey, one black, and then the rest of that row just wants to be entirely dark blue, and that just wants to come under the sandstone, or it can go higher, it doesn't really matter, it's going to be covered anyway. So that's what you want for the left row. For the right row, slightly more complicated. So for the right row, one dark grey, one black, two dark blue, 1, 2, 5 cyan, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the rest is just dark blue. And as I said, you only have to bring the dark blue to the bottom of the hand. So pause that if necessary. That's what you want for the side of the leg. Let's move up to the side of the arm. So side of the arm is very, very, very simple. Start off by filling in the bottom of the hand in with sandstone, as I am now. You don't want any holes in your statue, of course, you want that completely filled. And in filling in the bottom of the hand, you'll have made up the first row of the side of the arm. And now all we have to do is do 2 solid rows of sandstone, just to match what we have on the left and the right hand side, and then an entire row of black wool, like that. And then you just have to fill in the rest of the arm in with dark blue. So you're going to want to end up with something which should look a little bit like that. And as for the top of the shoulder, you just want to fill it in with dark blue, and you just want to bring it in by 3 blocks like that. So just to the edge of the torso right there. You can bring it in more, but there'd be no difference. Just don't bring it in, like don't only do 2, make sure you at least do 3. So let me just show you what you want to have for the entire side of the statue. They have it very easy, very simple. You guys should have no problem with that whatsoever. Pause this if necessary, of course. I'm going to go and whip around and do the other side. So the other side, believe it or not, ladies and gents, is actually easier than the side that we've just done. And guess why? That's right, you just have to look straight forward and copy what you did on that side directly onto this side. There's nothing easier than this. So as you can see, I just looked straight forward, copied what I had on that side onto this side, and I'm having no problems whatsoever. And of course, the arm is very easy as well. You just have to do the exact same thing, although I would be surprised if you guys couldn't figure it out anyway, because all you have to do is a little bit of sandstone, a little bit of black, some dark blue. Remember to fill in the top of the shoulder, of course. Come in by 3, more if you like, but I wouldn't go any less unless you want a weird looking statue. And it would seem that I have hit the world wall, so I can't zoom out any further than I am now, but as you can see, it is just a mirror image of the other side of the statue, and it's not even really worth seeing. So it's also getting dark. I'm going to cut it out now, but I will be back with the head of the statue very soon, so back in a sec. I really do hate nighttime, it always messes with my flow. So once you've reached this very point right here in which you've done the entire front, the entire back and both sides of the statue, it's time for us to do the head. And of course, if you're still working on the sides, pause this if necessary. So once you are at this point, you're going to want to come round to the front of your statue. You want to come right to the tippy top of it. And you're going to want to, on top of the 8 original blocks of the torso, these ones that I've highlighted here, you're going to want to do a row of 8 sandstone directly on top of them, like so. Then you want to do 2 more rows of sandstone directly in front of the row of sandstone that you've just placed, so 1 and 2. So now that second row of sandstone should be overhanging the front of the statue by 2 rows, which it is, as you can see from the side, and that is going to be the first row of the face. So the next row is going to be directly on top of that, and for the second row you're going to want to place 2 brown wool in the 2 center spots of the row, and then sandstone everywhere else. Then the next 2 rows are just entirely sandstone, so 1, 2, and fill them in. Then, for the next row, you want to do 2 sandstone in the 2 center spots of the row, a single light blue either side of the sandstone, a single white either side of the blue, and sandstone either side of the blue, to just finish off the row, to give you Coulson's eyes. For the next row, you just want to do 2 sandstone in the 2 center spots of the row, and then brown wool everywhere else to give you some pretty angry looking eyebrows. Look at those. Look at how masculine they are. The next row wants to be entirely sandstone. And the 8th and final row, you just want to throw a single brown wool on the ends of the row, and then sandstone everywhere else to give you something which should look a little bit like that. I feel as though I did that pretty quickly, but honestly there really isn't too much to Coulson's face. I mean, there's barely any hair, the man's balding. He's got some pretty scary looking eyebrows as well. Anyway, that is, I don't know why I'm insulting Coulson's face. I apologise to the actor who plays him. So that is what you want to have for the face of the statue. Pause this if necessary, of course. Once you've done that, we can move on to the rest of the head. So come round to the back of the head. And what we're going to do next is extend back this original row that started the head, this row that I've highlighted here. We're going to extend it back until it overhangs the back of the statue by 2 rows, as the front of the head overhangs the front of the statue by 2 rows. So it just wants to be even on both sides to give you something which should look from the side a little bit like that. Nothing too complicated whatsoever. So once you've done that, and of course pause this if you need to catch up, it's time for us to do the back of the head. So the back of the head's really simple. It is just entirely brown wool. So on top of this most back row of sandstone that should overhang the back of the statue by 2 rows, 1, 2, you just want to stack 7 rows of brown wool on it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that should just line up nicely with the front of the head, and it seems to. And then you just have to fill them in, or whatever method you want to. Oh god, no, I always hate it when that happens. Whatever method you want to use to fill in the back of the head with brown. Does that ever happen to you guys when you like go down the row and it like misses one out and it doubles up, and oh god, oh, it's terrible. So that is what you want to have for the back of the head. Pause this if necessary, of course. Once you've done that, it's time to move around to the side of the head, and I always like to start on this side first. So we're just going to be filling this in like we'd fill anything in. So we're just going to be working from left to right, from the back of the head to the front of the head, just building up the rows. So for the second row of the side of the head, here's what you want to do. You want 2 brown, then the rest is sandstone. For the next row, 1 brown, rest is sandstone. Next row, 1 brown, 3 sandstone, 1 brown, 1 sandstone. Next row, 1 brown, 2 sandstone, 2 brown, 1 sandstone. Next row, 5 brown, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 sandstone. Next 2 rows, and the final 2 rows are just entirely brown wool to give you what will be the side of the head, which should look a lot of something like that. That's a weird looking ear, it's kind of like a goblin ear. So pause this if necessary. Once you've done the side of the head, and that shouldn't be too difficult for you guys, it's time to just go and whiz around and do the other side of the head. And the other side of the head is extremely easy, as with most things on this statue, all you have to do, once you've done one side, is just quite simply copy the other side, and that is exactly what I'm doing. I think that is all the brown, all the sandstone I should say. All you have to do is then add the brown, just copy what you have on the other side of the head, and you will be fine. I promise. Assuming that you get that side right. That's important. So, as you can see, I quickly just did this side just by copying the other side, nothing much to it. And once you have done the other side of the head, pause this if you have to catch up. All you have to do is fill in the top of the head in entirely with brown wool. So just fill in the top of the head in with brown. I was kind of surprised that it was entirely brown on the top of the head, as you'll be able to see. Since I'm using the Coulson skin, I thought there'd be a bit more sandstone, since the man is obviously balding. But apparently not. Apparently he's kind of hanging onto his hairline. So that is what you want for Coulson's head. For the most part, we've got a little bit to add in, but that's the base of Coulson's head. Nothing too complicated with that, I think. Nothing too difficult in terms of patterning. So once you've reached this point right here, in which you've done all sides of the head, all we have to do now is just add on Coulson's little earpiece. So unfortunately, the earpiece is one of those things that are really easy to do, but really difficult to explain in terms of block placement and such. So I'm just going to do it and show you guys the end result, and you guys should have no problem in just copying it and applying it to your statue. And as a matter of fact, I'm already done. That is the earpiece, the headpiece thingy that he wears on the side of his head, his Bluetooth headset from the 90s that for some reason S.H.I.E.L.D. at the pinnacle of science are still using. That is what you want for the earpiece on the side of the head. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, all you have to do is just add a few blocks around the front and we are done with the statue. You just have to add literally 3 light grey blocks coming from this dark grey here, leading the earpiece that you have on the side of the head to the mouth. So 1, 2, 3, and you are done. There is no more to the statue once you have reached this point right here. So the tutorial is over from this point. I'm just going to give you guys a nice little 360-degree view of the statue so that you can see what it should look like once it's done. It's a pretty handsome looking statue if you ask me. I can't say that the earpiece, the headset, I really don't know what to call that thing. The Bluetooth doesn't particularly look like a Bluetooth to me, but I guess you can tell what it is. It's a pretty nice looking statue if you ask me. It's like a normal suit skin, but with a little extra added, a little bit more detail. Definitely not as good as like Iron Man or Thor or anything. Maybe a little better than Hulk. The Hulk skin isn't particularly detailed, but it's a pretty nice looking statue, and one of the last skins that I'll be making out of the Avengers. Might be making Falcon, maybe making Hawkeye. I still have to see about Hawkeye. I don't like that skin one bit, but there you go. I hope it was easy enough to follow. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, maybe you should think about subscribing. I have plenty more stuff like this on my channel. I have tutorials ranging from YouTube statues, skin statues, houses, pixel art, the list goes on. Thanks for watching.